So you've sent us this collection of really unsettling accounts.
Yeah, they really stick with you.
They do. These true stories, things that happen in, totally normal situations. Camping, a cabin getaway, meeting someone online, even just being at home.
Uh-huh. The everyday settings make them almost worse somehow.
Exactly. And we want to, well, go a bit deeper than just saying, oh, scary.
Right. Unpack them a bit.
Yeah, try to understand what makes these specific things so disturbing. Maybe what they tell us about, I don't know, psychology or the unknown.
It's a real mix you've got here. Some seem like, very human threats.
Others feel different, less explainable maybe.
Definitely.
Okay, let's start with the first one you flagged, the humming in the woods. Such a classic setup, right? Camping, Colorado wilderness with a cousin. Sounds peaceful.
It should be peaceful. That's the point, I think. Nature, tranquility.
Until it isn't. This low humming sound starts up just outside the light, beyond the trees and footsteps.
Yeah, and it's how that familiar setting, the woods, suddenly becomes anxious, threatening. The sound itself, that humming and the footsteps, it's an intrusion. Violates that peace you expect. And you can't immediately place it, can you? That ambiguity is, well, it's unsettling right from the start.
Totally. It's not just like woodland creatures wrestling around anymore and the stick getting thrown into the campsite.
Yeah.
That feels intentional.
Exactly. That's a huge escalation. It moves from just hearing something weird to, okay, something knows we're here and is interacting.
Right. It's suddenly active, not passive. Is it a person messing with them? Is it something else?
And your mind just races, doesn't it? Filling in the blanks, usually with the worst case scenario, and then the climax. Waking up, seeing a shadow figure looking into the tent. At first thinking it's the cousin.
Ugh, yeah. That moment of realization, it's not the cousin, it's someone or something else right there.
That vulnerability. You're in a thin tent, in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, confronted by the unknown. It hits a primal fear. That feeling of being completely defenseless.
It really does. And was it human? Was it not? You don't know. And that, combined with being so isolated, it's potent.
And the sound, the humming, just persisting underneath it all. It's almost designed to wear you down, make you constantly aware of something just out there.
Beyond understanding.
Yeah, it plays on our basic need to categorize threats. When we can't label something like that figure or the humming, our internal alarms just go off. The not knowing is the fear.
Okay, let's move to the thing in the tree. Another isolated setting, right? Solo retreat, winter, inherited cabin in Oregon. Sounds moody from the start.
It does, and the first sign something's off. The dog.
Yes.
Animals reacting strangely, sniffing the air, staring at the roof. It tells us, the audience, something's wrong before the person even fully registers it, like an early warning.
And then the footsteps on the roof, but no tracks in the snow. That's
Exactly. That detail just shatters any simple explanation. It pushes it straight into the uncanny, the weird. You can't just rationalize that away.
no way. And then seeing it, the description of the figure in the tree. Grotesquely tall, pale, elongated limbs, that gaping mouth.
It's pure nightmare fuel. Designed to be deeply unsettling, to look fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, the definition of uncanny. And even after he gets inside, locks the door, thinking maybe he's safe. There's that tapping.
That light, rhythmic tapping on the window. It's relentless. It says, I'm still here. This wasn't just a glimpse. I'm right outside. It makes the sanctuary of the cabin feel completely violated.
Yeah, it's not just a scare that passes, it's sustained. You're being watched, maybe even toyed with.
And again, the lack of explanation just lets that fear grow, doesn't it? It lingers.
Okay, switching gears from the wilderness to something much more urban but still unsettling, the Craigslist trap.
Ah, yes. This one feels very current. The potential dangers lurking in everyday online stuff.
Right. Trying to buy an iPhone seems normal enough. And the seller initially suggests meeting at a police station, which sounds smart. Safe.
It sounds safe, yeah. It builds this false sense of security. We associate police stations with safety, obviously.
So when the seller suddenly has this breakdown and needs to move to a darker, more isolated spot.
It's pure manipulation.
Yeah.
They build a little trust based on that initial caution, and now they're exploiting it, twisting that perceived safety.
And the fact that the storyteller sees the same person later at a diner, just watching them put up.
Chillin'. That confirms it wasn't random. It feels targeted, premeditated. They were setting something up.
And the slashed tire is the final piece, isn't it? Tangible proof. This wasn't just a weird vibe, it was actual malice, potential danger.
Definitely. It really highlights the risks.
Yeah.
Even when you try to be careful online, people can still try to exploit that desire for a good deal or convenience. Makes you think about trust and skepticism online.
Okay, now for something socially weird. The reunion that wasn't.
Oh, this one is creepy in a different way.
Right. Going to your date's high school reunion should be normal, maybe a little awkward,
Yeah,
but
the signals are off right away. The guests seem too old. They ask questions that are way too personal, too intrusive.
yeah, it breaks the social rules you expect. It creates this weird sense of disorientation, like you've stepped into the wrong movie or something. The details are just slightly wrong.
That's what makes it effective. It's
Oh.
not jump scare scary, it's just off. Deeply unsettling.
And then the stranger in the bathroom, with the warning, that girl isn't who she says she is.
Whoa. Talk about suspense. That confirms all the weird feelings the protagonist was having. Their gut instinct was right.
And finding out Phoebe isn't her real name almost feels like beside the point. The bigger thing is the massive deception, being in the situation where nothing feels real or trustworthy.
Exactly. It's about being deliberately misled, entering this whole social scene under completely false pretenses. It really shakes your ability to trust people, to read situations. What was the point of it all, you wonder?
Right, what was the end game?
Okay, next one hits a really primal fear. The nighttime intruder.
Ah, yes. The home invasion scenario. But from a child's perspective, which makes it even more terrifying.
An 8-year-old wakes up, parents aren't there, middle of the night, that alone is scary enough.
Absolutely, their whole sense of security is just gone.
And then footsteps inside the house.
Confirms the worst fear. They're not alone. And the intruder isn't hiding. They're moving around, opening drawers, standing in the kitchen.
Like they belong there almost. It's an active invasion, not just a presence.
And that moment of interaction, the child asks, "Dad," hoping against hope.
It gets that deep, unfamiliar voice back. Go back upstairs.
Pure terror. It's the absolute confirmation. This is a stranger, a threat, inside their safe space. The psychological impact on a kid, unimaginable.
Yeah. It just drills down into that fundamental need for safety at home, especially when you're asleep, vulnerable, violating that, especially for a child. It leaves scars.
Makes you realize how fragile that sense of security really is. Okay, the knife in the dark. This is unsettling in a different way again. It involves dementia.
Right. The unpredictability of cognitive impairment, blurring the lines between someone who needs care and someone who could potentially be dangerous.
The setup. A caretaker, overnight shift, elderly woman with dementia. The first odd thing is the woman slamming the oven door repeatedly, in the dark.
Yeah, that immediately creates unease. It's unpredictable behavior,
Yeah.
and the darkness just amplifies any sense of the unknown or potential threat.
But then finding her in the closet, holding a kitchen knife.
That's a massive escalation. Shocking. Suddenly, there's a very real, immediate potential for harm, even from someone who might not fully grasp what they're doing.
It really highlights the incredible, difficult, and sometimes frightening situations caregivers can find themselves in.
It's a tough paradox, isn't it? Someone vulnerable, needing care, but also capable of posing a threat. It makes you confront the complexities of the mind, the challenges of caregiving, and maybe our own assumptions about who is dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about the roommate from hell. Back to trusting strangers, but this time, you're living with them.
Yeah. These shared living situations can be risky, and the red flags here are pretty bright.
Missing underwear, demanding the lock be removed from the protagonist's own bedroom door.
Major boundary violations. Right away, it establishes this creepy power dynamic, a total disregard for personal space and safety. Those should be huge warning signs.
And then someone else, a stranger, warns her about restraining orders against the roommate. External validation of the danger.
Which sadly wasn't acted on fast enough, it seems.
Because then she wakes up, and the roommate is sitting on her bed, touching her leg.
Terrifying. That's the physical culmination of all those boundary pushes. A complete invasion of personal space and safety. Just underscores the real danger. It's a powerful reminder to trust your gut, and to take those warning signs seriously. Sharing a space with someone you barely know, it requires vigilance.
Absolutely. Now, the old lady at the door. This one plays on our instincts to help, doesn't it?
It really does. Exploiting the perception of vulnerability. A teenager home alone, an old woman at the door. Seems harmless, maybe needing help.
The request is simple, classic. Can I use your phone? Triggers that empathy.
But there's that detail, the overly wide smile. Just a discordant note, that subtle wrongness that makes your internal alarm bells start to ping.
And when the teen refuses, the switch flips instantly. Menace. The sound of a knife tapping on the window.
Jarring, terrifying. From seemingly frail and needy to actively threatening in a split second.
And then the man who appears claims to be her son, but then just vanishes into the backyard.
Adds this layer of surrealism, doesn't it? Makes the whole encounter even more unsettling because it defies easy explanation. The threat just materializes and dematerializes.
Yeah, it really shows how appearances can fool you, how quickly things can turn, and the unexplained parts just leave you feeling uneasy, questioning your own judgment.
Definitely. Yeah. You wonder how easily you could be manipulated.
Okay, the next one, the fake uncle, is, well, it's incredibly disturbing. Involves a child, trust, abduction.
Yeah, this one is rough. It hits that core fear of a child's trust being betrayed in the worst possible way.
Being picked up by a friend's uncle. A situation where a kid would feel completely safe, wouldn't question it.
And that trust is weaponized. Driving too far, locking the child in a dark basement. It's predatory, appalling.
The child's presence of mind, though. Calling 911, hiding the phone, that's remarkable.
Amazing resilience. Instinct for survival kicking in under unimaginable terror.
And the police arriving just as the man is trying to drag the child further, it highlights how close it was, the life or death reality of it.
A chilling reminder of children's vulnerability, absolutely. And the need for constant vigilance, but also the power of a child's own quick thinking.
Okay, one more. The rocking chair. This one feels a bit different from the others. More. Potentially supernatural.
Possibly. It leans that way. The setting is a New Year's Eve party winding down. Social, but then becomes strange.
Yeah, hearing a creaking sound from the basement, investigating, finding an empty rocking chair, moving on its own.
That's classic uncanny. An inanimate object behaving as if animate. It's inherently unsettling because it violates our understanding of how things should work.
And the potential explanation offered later that the chair belonged to the homeowner's deceased grandmother.
Adds that layer, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Connect the unexplained physical event to the idea of a lingering presence. The supernatural. Makes a familiar object suddenly feel charged, uneasy.
So, looking back at all these stories you sent, it's striking how many happen in just, like, everyday life. It's not always haunted houses or graveyards.
Exactly. It's the camping trip, the online purchase, the roommate situation, the knock at the door. It's the intrusion of the unsettling, the frightening into the mundane.
The subtle wrongness, the violation of trust or safety when you least expect it. That seems to be the common thread that makes them so disturbing.
I think so. And your collection shows the range, doesn't it? From clear human malice, like the Craigslist trap or the fake uncle, to things that are much harder to explain.
Mm-hmm.
The humming, the figure in the tree, maybe the rocking chair, that ambiguity where there's no neat answer, that's often what lets these stories burrow into your head and stay there.
Yeah, they disrupt our need for order, for explanation, and that disruption is the unease.
Precisely.
So for everyone listening, as we've gone through these unsettling moments you shared, hopefully this deep dive offered, well, a bit more than just the chills.
Maybe some perspective on why they're chilling.
Right. Maybe it makes you think about your own sense of safety, those gut feelings, the subtle cues, or just how you might react if the ordinary suddenly turned extraordinary and frightening.
It's definitely a sobering look at fear, but hopefully an insightful one too.
Yeah, leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What aspect of these encounters did you find the most disturbing? Something to think about.